And the story we're tracking at this hour is the political tussle that is heating up over the Bharat Jodo Yatra. It's not just about the Yatra. It is about the BJP calling this a super spreader Yatra of the Congress party. The Congress rebutting, going on to say that this is nothing but a political gimmick of the BJP. Now, while addressing the Rajya Sabha this afternoon, Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandaviya said, as a health minister, I wrote a letter to the Congress MP and Chief Minister of Rajasthan Ashok Gehlot over COVID norms and those testing positive during the Yatra. But the Congress MP Rahul Gandhi almost immediately lashed out at the centre while he was on his Bharat Jodo Yatra in Haryana, where he said that he has received this letter and he says that the BJP is scared of this Yatra and which is why it is looking for excuses to stop them.
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा पास हुई और कई लोग ये यात्रा में शामिल हुए। शामिल होने के बाद वो पॉजिटिव पाए गए। मैं बात में पॉलिटिक्स में नहीं जाना चाहता हूं, लेकिन एज ए हेल्थ मिनिस्टर मेरा दायित्व है कि देश में कोविड ना फैले और उसके लिए मैं जागरूकता से काम करने की कोशिश की। हमने कभी कोविड क्राइसिस पर पॉलिटिक्स नहीं किया था।
चिट्ठी लिखी कि कोविड आ रहा है, यात्रा बंद करो। मतलब अब देखिए, अब यात्रा को रोकने के लिए बहाने बन रहे हैं।
हमारे बची थी चुनाव के कारण और कुछ अन्य विधानसभाओं में उन यात्राओं को हमने रोकने का काम किया। अब कहा कि वह यात्राएं नहीं चली क्योंकि लोगों की सुरक्षा ही हमारे लिए सर्वोपरि है और कोविड के गाइडलाइन का पालन करना हमारे लिए यह एक जरूरी है। राहुल गांधी जी से यही कहूँगा, अगर कोविड के प्रोटोकॉल को नहीं का पालन कर पा रहे हैं, अगर लोगों की सुरक्षा को ध्यान में रखते हुए उनको अवश्य रूप से कुछ न कुछ ऐसा निर्णय लेना चाहिए। अगर जरूरी हो तो अपनी यात्रा भी बंद करें, नहीं तो कोविड का पूरा प्रोटोकॉल पालन करें। लोगों की सुरक्षा ही सर्वोपरि होनी चाहिए।
ओमिक्रॉन की जो केस पकड़े गए वो आज की मसला नहीं, वो अगस्त में, सितंबर में, नवंबर में ये पता किया गया। तो नवंबर में जब ओमिक्रॉन, चाइनीज ओमिक्रॉन की बारे में पता चली तो गुजरात में नरेंद्र मोदी जी क्यों नहीं मास्क लगाई और गुजरात में क्यों चुनाव प्रचार हुई? सितंबर से शुरू हुई, G20 में क्यों बुलाए, ये मिलेट लंच क्यों कराई, सदन क्यों चलाई बिना मास्क? आज आपको लगा जब राहुल गांधी जी प्रवेश कर रहे हैं और जन सैलाब खड़े हुए हैं तब उनको लगा अभी ये बहाना बनाकर ये राहुल गांधी की पदयात्रा को किसी हालत में रोका जाए।
Shazia Almi, spokesperson of the BJP, joins us on this broadcast. Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Prashant Pratap Singh as well. And Director of Cardiac Science, Fortis Hospital, Dr. Raju Vyas also with me. But I'd like to begin with Prashant Pratap Singh. And Mr. Singh, why does the Congress think that this is political? Do we not come to terms with the reality that COVID is spreading in multiple countries around the world? It's not just China, Brazil, Japan, United States as well are recording an uptick in cases. There are 4 of the same variant in this country as well. But Rahul Gandhi then comes out and says, ye bahana hai.
Basically, if you look at Prime Minister Modi ji, he just conducted, 2 days before the letter was issued, he conducted a rally in Tripura. How were the things different at that point of time? If you see, there are no new COVID norms. Have there been new COVID norms for the whole of India? Have been said? Is there any policy for the mask which has been created recently? Are the planes, is there any guidelines for the planes and the trains? We all remember during COVID last time, there were norms issued for all these mass gathering places.
Sure.
But that is not happening. We all know the reason why they are trying to dissuade and they were trying to stop the Bharat Jodo Yatra from the start. Yesterday only, the IT head of BJP tweeted a fake video saying somebody else was trying Rahul Gandhi's laces, which came out, which was exposed completely on the internet because the pictures came out. And they have been trying to, defame the yatra from the start. They tried to put things on the T-shirt, then they tried to do with the beard. Now they are trying to put a COVID norm on it. वो COVID के पीछे छिप रहे हैं. They are hiding behind COVID.
Why is it defaming? Are we denying that the COVID threat exists? Is that what the Congress is doing? Aren't you belittling the fact that we could be in a situation that we were a few months ago or last year where we saw several people, several elderly in this country lose their lives because of that pandemic? Are you trying to belittle it by saying that this is just a bahana the BJP is hiding behind?
See, why is the parliament on? The parliament is on. Do you see any mask? You have pictures of people on the parliament. Do you see any mask or anything there? There are no norms for the parliament. The ones who are talking about
There
COVID
was an
are
advisory
themselves
that came to the
not
fore.
wearing
The Rajya
masks.
Sabha chairman also today requested members of parliament, and several of those members of parliament, including the Prime Minister today, were wearing a mask.
If you remember the last time when we spoke about a mask and one of the leaders, opposition leaders, was wearing a mask, I remember the Rajya Sabha chairman making fun of him and asked him to, I think, leave, as far as I remember. So this is duplicity on their part. They're trying to cover their tracks by saying, oh, we are following norms here in the parliament as well. But the true fact is, why are they not answering on why Prime Minister Modi was doing a rally just 2 days before? They are not talking about that. They only want to stop the Bharat Jodo Yatra because it's entering Delhi. Once it enters Delhi, they know we'll get a huge media coverage. They're trying to defame that yatra by saying we are COVID spreaders. Have you forgotten Namaste Trump? Nobody has forgotten Namaste Trump. While Namaste Trump was happening, why Gujarat had a huge impact? Because the whole government from US came to Gujarat.
So then should we not learn lessons from someone else's mistakes, or is it because the BJP did it back then so the Congress can do it now? Is that the argument?
They were COVID spreading at that point of time. What the active cases have not gone up so suddenly in India as of now. They are happening possibly in China. Maybe they are affected too much by China. But if you remember in Madhya Pradesh also, they delayed because they were trying to take down the government, the sitting government in Madhya Pradesh. That's why the reason they delayed the lockdown. So BJP is talking only on duplicity, on double facts. They have double standards for people who are from the opposition and for themselves. We have all seen their leaders going in Bengal saying Didi or Didi. There were no lockdowns which are happening. And this is what is happening right now. They are scared. They want to, stop the yatra. They want to defame us. That is the reason. Why? Because yatra is talking about the common people, the mehngai, the berozgari, the problems which individuals are facing. That is what yatra is talking about. And they're scared. And that is the whole reason of creating and concocting this whole new narrative of COVID spreading. That is the true fact.
I take objection to you saying that this is a concocted thing because the threat is very real. So let's not try and mislead anybody in this country and, throw caution to the wind. And I'm sure the doctor on this panel would agree to that, because this is not the time to try and create that kind of narrative where we take this lightly. But I'll let Shazia Ilmi also come in. Shazia Ilmi, the Congress says this is nothing but political because the timing of it is very important. Jairam Ramesh also came out and said, let's look at the chronology of how this is happening.
What timing? There's a global advisory. We've seen the figures. And how can the Prime Minister put an end to or put off the Tripura rally before the China situation is flagged and we are made aware of the issue? I don't know. I mean, I just heard a barrage of not just mistruths, but complete lies and, weird comparisons. And I heard very clearly the Union Health Minister as well as senior functionaries of BJP say that, either put a stop to it or just follow the protocols. So, that's all you have to do. Because, thankfully in our country, and thanks to this party and our government, 220 crore vaccines have been administered. While all over the world, the cases are on the rise, particularly in China. And all the effort is being made, all the measures are being taken to contain it. Just like there is a random RT-PCR sampling going on at the airports, just like the new genome sequencing is being tracked, and various things that are being done to ensure that there are minimal losses or casualties or fatalities in the wake of this new crisis that looms large. But instead of making it about people and safety, it's about some fear, some imaginary fear that BJP seems to have against Rahul Gandhi's yatra. All one is saying is that just be careful at this point of time, where any congregation is concerned or any assembly of people is concerned, just to ensure, because when you enter the capital or even if you're outside it, you must make sure that people are not affected. So that's all there is to it.
Sure.
And there have been reports of international travelers coming in who have been tested positive. So if the government does not take care, then you say, oh,
and forget international travelers, Prashant Pratap Singh, someone who was a part of this yatra, your Himachal Chief Minister tested positive of COVID right after being a part of that yatra. So when the BJP says this could turn out to be a super spreader event, are they really off the mark?
We all remember that how Amit Shah and Modi ji had tested positive after doing rallies, and they all were there. So let's not even get to the double standards of the BJP.
Which is
Again
why I'm
and
asking you again.
repeating
So are
that.
you trying to say
Now
that
what's
because the
happening?
BJP did it back then and it was okay, so now
It is
even the
about
Congress
the
will do it? Is that how it is?
You're talking about
If you're
international
saying
travelers.
something
These are
went wrong
Indians
2
who are
years
working in
ago
the
or a
yatra.
year ago, then why not
There is
learn
no
from those
logic to
mistakes?
this. Do you realize how illogical this sounds?
Do you
This
remember?
is not
Shazia
about
ji?
BJP and Congress.
Shazia ji, I did
Please
not
get
interrupt
over
you.
it. You must get over it.
Shazia ji,
Your
I would
personality
respect if you
and
don't
Rahul Gandhi's
interfere in mine. You
personality has
can have
got to
your
be
own
more
chance and speak.
than that of
And let me speak
politics.
first.
It's
You,
about
if
the
you
health
remember,
of a
Shazia,
nation.
I'll
the
come
health
back
of
to you. Let
individuals.
Prashant
how
Pratap
many
finish.
people died of oxygen death? There were people running for oxygen. There were people who were died in Gujarat.
It's
It
not
was
even
an
the question
expose
that
by
is being
Dainik
asked. I
Bhaskar
mean,
which
it's
came
not
out.
connected to
About
whatever
20
you're
lakh
saying.
people died in
And in
Gujarat.
fact, no, people did not.
So,
People died
do
because
you
of poor
accept that?
administration
That's the Gujarat model
in the
you're
various
talking about.
hospitals.
The people were
Because
running
when they
helter
ask for
skelter
figures
after the
state-wise,
lockdown. There was nobody there.
if you
And there
ask
was
for
nobody
state-wise
supporting. It
figures
was
of who
youth
died for
Congress
lack of
workers of
oxygen, we
Indian
realize there
National
was
Congress
profiteering
that they were
going
going
on.
and helping people.
So
Even
it's
your
not
own
connected with what we are
minister,
saying right now.
General VK Singh, he was asking for help from youth Congress people. They were the ones who helped your own minister.
Yeah, everybody
sitting
helps
minister.
everybody
This was
because
the
this is
country
about
before COVID,
health.
so don't remind us.
Where are you? I
We
mean,
were
this
there.
this
We were helping
complete
in travel.
hatred you live in.
We were taking
You
care of
know,
all
you don't even
everyone.
get what we are
And you
saying.
were possibly
And
sitting in the
just
palaces
get over,
and
just get over your
feeding the
politics
peacock.
for
I
a
remember
change.
the peacock thing happening during COVID.
Just
The
get
peacock
over.
and the
You're
Akshay
very
Kumar
silly.
interview which was
You're
happening
very
in COVID.
petty.
While we were on the road
Politics. I
and we
really
were
think you must
helping
get over
and
it.
we were
It
taking
is
care
not
of the young
about
people
you.
and the
The
travel. You
Bharat
all
Jodo
remember
Yatra is of
the
very little significance and consequence as seen in the elections.
if Bharat
So I
Jodo
mean, please
Yatra, why is your
don't be
IT team
deluded.
spreading
Don't be
hate about it?
deluded.
Why
It
is
is
your
about
official Twitter
safety in
handle
public
tweeting about it?
places.
Shazia ji, possibly you do not have
Arey,
replies
it's
for
not,
that
don't keep
because
talking
why is you,
continuously.
Bharat Jodo, you
You
kind
don't
of
know,
try to
this
dismiss
constant
Congress all
blabbering
the
will not
time.
help.
You keep trying to dismiss,
No,
but
it will not
the
help
more
you
you
at
try
all.
to
I'm just
put
telling
us
you,
down, the
this
more
constant
highly
blabbering
we'll speak
and
back.
going
And
off
you know,
the
this is what is
people don't
happening.
care
How
beyond
much
a
ever you
point.
try to
You know, the
defame us,
health of the
we will
people
come
is
back.
more
It's the
important
price
than
and effect.
BJP and
It will
Congress
keep happening.
and this
The more
yatra
you
and
try
that
to put Bharat
yatra.
Jodo Yatra
Please
down,
get this in your head.
it is for love.
In your,
It is not
and
against
Rahul
hatred.
Gandhi
It
must
is
get it
love
into his
what we
pretty
have.
little head.
You
The
can
same.
keep saying what you want to. You can keep
You keep
interfering in the
on
middle,
speaking, my
that's
God,
enough
without
also.
even caring
Shazia
to
Elmi and
stop and
Prashant Pratap
listen.
Singh, let's just take a pause. And I wanted to
Oh.
get in Dr. Vyas in this. Dr. Vyas, isn't this the most unfortunate bit of the country that we have politicians pointing in each other's direction, where the need of the hour is for everyone to unite and fight against the pandemic that has claimed so many lives over the last 2 years? We can't be throwing caution to the wind.
So, as in clinician, I would like to say in few words only that look, in wave 1 and wave 2, we have lost so.
We'll try and reconnect that line with Dr. Vyas. But like he was saying, we've seen the kind of devastation, the kind of innocent lives that have been lost because of this pandemic, because of the measures that were perhaps not put in place timely, or the kind of strain that medical infrastructure had. And it's time that we learn from those very mistakes, which is why, Prashant Pratap Singh, I come back to that very point. We've seen the kind of devastation it can wreak. Why not learn our lessons? Anyway, the Bharat Jodo Yatra takes a break in 2 days, doesn't it?
I completely agree that COVID is very harmful. It is happening. It can happen in India too again. But before that, tell me, why are the norms different for Bharat Jodo Yatra and the rest of the country? The norms, why is there no caution on the airline? There have been nothing happening when it comes to the parliament. The parliament, they are just still running. I remember when there was COVID, there was no parliament happening. They had, but right now, everything is open, everything is functioning. There is no
but
social
just have the
distancing.
protocols.
distancing
Do you not get it? I mean, this is very basic.
Everywhere.
This is extremely simple, to understand. There have to be basic
Shazia ji, it is my
protocols
turn
of
to
wearing
speak.
the
Would you
mask,
let me speak?
maintaining a
If you don't let
distance,
me speak, I
and
will not let you
ensuring that
speak.
the event
I
does
will
not
not let
become
you
a
speak,
super
Shazia ji.
spreader.
Sure.
This
And
is
Shazia
my
Elmi, I'll come
there
back
is
to
to
you.
it,
Shazia Elmi, I'll come back
I
to
mean-
you. I want to ask Prashant Pratap,
No,
like
we
the
just allowed him to
BJP,
repeat
like
and
the
speak
BJP
and
has
speak
been
over
saying
me.
also, no one is asking you to call off this entire yatra. But can we
Exactly.
have some protocols in
Just
place?
look at, how dense.
Can Rahul
it
Gandhi
is,
today, instead of going
some
on to say
people
ye
are so
bahana hai,
dense,
say
they can't
everybody.
understand
Shazia
what
Elmi,
you're
just a
saying.
second, let me please put this question across to the Congress spokesperson. Prashant Pratap Singh, today when Rahul Gandhi from the stage of Bharat Jodo's public gathering went on to say that ye bahana hai, shouldn't he have also gone on to say that all of those who are part of this particular gathering and who are going to be part of this yatra should mask up, should ensure that there is enough sanitation?
See, I would
That
have
would have
agreed
sent
to
the
that
message
if
loud
there
and
was a
clear.
COVID threat pending. It is a threat which has just been created by BJP because Bharat Jodo Yatra is entering
And prevention
Delhi. It
is
is very
better than
logical.
cure, so why not
There is
take that
no
2 extra steps is exactly what I'm... No one is asking Rahul
Yes,
Gandhi to stop this yatra.
if you remember, Rahul Gandhi was very masked when it was a credible threat. Everybody has been
Arey, let's
vaccinated
talk
now.
about
There are
now,
people who have been
sir. What
vaccinated.
happened?
There is no threat, immediate threat. This BJP is trying to create a threat. It is a fake narrative they are trying to create. There are no norms and there are no standards which have been done for the airline or the airplanes or any public gathering space. Why
There is
is
screening
people
happening
allowed
at
to freely
several
move if there is an action moving
airports
threat?
of
You hear
international
yourself, you're
flyers, sir.
repeating the
Perhaps
same
you
old
don't know
point,
that.
and
There
you
are
just
several
cut such a sorry
advisories that
figure
have been
because
issued by respective state governments. There is a review meeting happening at the centre as well. We are expecting
Yes.
some slew of measures coming to the fore later in this evening as well. The parliament ends tomorrow. Today, we had in the Rajya Sabha, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha go on to say that I appreciate if all of you all can mask up. After which we saw several members of parliament that did mask up. So don't say this is not a credible
Again,
threat.
I'll have to-
Are we waiting for more lives to be lost before we say yes, this is a credible threat? Is that what we're waiting for, and is that the message the Congress wants to send?
I don't know why News18 is following what BJP is telling you.
I'm sorry, sir, I take offense to that.
Out.
We're not following what the BJP is asking. All I'm saying is, shouldn't Rahul
because-
Gandhi have said, please mask up? How difficult is that? That's all I'm
He was
asking.
the first one to warn BJP about COVID in Feb 2020. He was the one tweeting about it, talking about it. He went
Sure,
on
so you
board
led by example
on
in
camera and
2020.
said
Why are
that-
you not doing it now? That's exactly what
what
I'm
he
asking
said.
you.
And then the whole government was sleeping. We were the ones who were warning the government.
Sure.
And then
Kudos
government
to
was
you if
sleeping.
that's
They-
what you
they-
did.
They kind of disregarded the whole
Sure,
COVID threat at
kudos
that
to
point of
Rahul
time.
Gandhi and the Congress party if that's what you did in 2020. If you led by example back then, why are you not doing it now?
Because right now the standard has been, even every public, every person who's watching the television set knows that this is a fake narrative which has been created by BJP, and because the MP of BJP wrote to their own minister. There's nobody else writing it. It's their own minister writing, and that's how the advisory was released. This is the duplicity on their part. Because if there was a threat,
Arey
the
bhai,
standard
he's the
would have been
union
for the
head
rest of the
minister
country.
of this
There's no,
country.
the BJP himself are having all the meetings. They are all going out and doing rallies. We're all seeing that just because Gujarat is over now and they can create disturbance by disturb us in the yatra by putting this COVID norm. We all remember in Bengal how Prime Minister Modi was doing
I
rally.
mean, I
after
can't
rally when
understand. I don't get
COVID
you.
was at its peak.
I mean, this is the union health minister whose job it is to write letters to various MPs and various organizations to prevent fun congregations
Shazia ji,
and to
we all know how
ensure
many union
that
health ministers and ministers are changed
there
every
is
day when,
indeed
at
some
the women's
some
fancies of the
COVID
Prime Minister.
protocols.
All these
Are you
ministers
going on
get
speaking?
changed
My God,
when
do you
they
hear
don't
yourself?
function.
Who
It was
my
a
God,
different union health
stop
minister
it.
before.
I
now
think
it's
the
a
anchor should
different
really
health
come in and
minister
allow
now.
others to and ensure that others get a chance to speak,
You know, Shazia
because this
ji,
is just
you'll have
this
to
man
come
doesn't
up with
listen.
new
Shazia,
ideas.
Elmi and
You have to
Shashank
come
Pradap
up with
Singh,
we're
I
talking
will
about.
come back to you because
Because
clearly
Bharat
the
Jodo
blame
Yatra
game
is
is not
like-
ending. But
You know,
Dr.
Dr.
Vyas is
Singh,
back
you
with
know,
us on this
stop your
broadcast.
speech,
And Dr.
man.
Vyas, I don't know if you heard the bit where
ये महंगाई के खिलाफ है.
there is an attempt to say that this seems like an excuse, that there is a fake narrative that is being created that, oh, we're going to be hit with another COVID wave.
No, it is not a fake narrative. You can say in that way that once we are looking towards the China and all other four major countries like US, Japan, Brazil, and all, we have to take extra precaution. I will say in that way. We have to work in many fields. Like first, international flights needs to be checked about all the people who are coming from international destinations. They needs to be checked about having any proper COVID vaccination, about their surveillance, about their symptoms, and if at all required, they should be sent to remain in the house for quite some time. Apart from that, my main agenda should be that all those people who have not yet taken the second dose of COVID vaccination as well as the booster dose, they needs to be advised to take it as early as possible. Reason for that is that this is the Omicron variant which is creating a problem in China. I feel that if we try and finish the second dose as well as the booster dose very fast in our country, we will able to salvage our country from another wave in coming few days. And 30 to 60 days or maybe 90 days will be very crucial for India, keeping in mind that international travelers, whosoever is coming from abroad, they should be checked on airports. I just landed from outside India a few days back only, and I have seen chaotic picture on the airports. and the people are not wearing the mask. So we have to advise all those people that start wearing mask also, start keeping distances also, don't start shaking hands now, stop going to all those crowded areas where they started. And first and foremost, and lastly, I will say that central government should send all the advisories to state chief minister saying that this kind of problem can once again can arise in India. So kindly take care of your people in their own states. I think advisory from central government should go to the state chief minister instead of writing to here and there. I think I don't feel this is petty politics which everybody is doing right now. That they are throwing the ball in each other's courts, which I totally disagree. If being an Indian, being a doctor, I think our priority should be 1, 2, 3, and 4, starting from airports, going up to vaccination, and keeping normal COVID protocols. I think probably these are the three important aspects on which everybody should work. Government can give advisory few times, but as an individuals, we should follow whatever we have learned in last 2 years.
Absolutely. We should learn from the mistakes that have been made to ensure that they do not happen again, that we do not see the kind of devastation that we have seen since the pandemic hit the country 2 years ago. And Shazia Ilmi, the Congress's allegation all along is that you have two different yardsticks. One when it comes to your own leaders and the other when it comes to the Congress or the opposition leaders.
No, but that's completely incorrect, you see. And this advisory that is there, it's been substantiated by reports all over. So obviously the Union Health Ministry has to ensure that any kind of impending crisis is contained, for which it is important for everybody to follow the COVID protocols, to make sure that their congregation or congregation of any kind does not lead to a widespread widespread COVID virus. It should not be allowed to contaminate or reach people, and so they must be kept safely. And of course, there are many things to be said here. A lot is being done. This is not the only thing. This is just a request made to follow COVID protocols and basic sanitation protocols. But apart from that, a whole lot of work is being done. Sinopharm and Sinovac are too far.
Prashant Pratap, I'll come to you. Let Shazia Ilmi finish.
Doesn't know how to. Yeah, please have some decency to.
I don't have too much time on this debate. Please, I request you to maintain civility. Prashant Pratap, I will come to you. Let Shazia Ilmi finish.
I think it's very unfair. So clearly India has done very, very well. So instead of when it comes to containing this and our cases coming down, whereas just in the neighboring country China, we see how the crisis is looming large. So I don't think it should be taken amiss. When nobody is scared of Rahul Gandhi, I don't think anybody beyond a point really cares. But the concern is that it should not spread. So even if it's BJP or Congress or TMC, it doesn't matter. The health of the people, health of an individual, and therefore the health of the nation must be the topmost priority for everybody.
Sure.
Political leaders and others as well. It's just to ensure that citizens are kept safe.
Absolutely. And isn't that the priority of every single politician, Prashant Pratap Singh, irrespective of whether you're in the ruling party or the opposition?
I would have been happy if Shazia ji was thinking about citizens. We all remember how COVID-1 and COVID-2 waves were taken care of. We all saw they were beating the thali and there was no oxygen, there was no preparation for second wave. Imagine after 1 year, almost, the second wave hit us and they had no preparation ready. There were no oxygen. We all saw the shortage of oxygen. There was shortage of masks even at that point of time. And they were banning people for sharing oxygen cylinders on small kids who were creating this repository and they called it a list where they were saying this is where oxygen is available on Instagram. We all remember what they did. There was a lockdown, immediate autocratic lockdown which happened and people did not know how to go. They had to walk thousands of miles. People were hungry. We were on the roads giving them food. We were giving them all the support we can give. But BJP ministers and their own prime minister was sitting in his mahal while feeding peacocks. We all saw that.
Sure.
We all saw how they have been trying to go in rallies when it is beneficial to them. We all saw that during election rallies. There was no COVID norms.
Sure.
There were lakhs and lakhs of people huddled together and Modi ji giving Didi O Didi Bayan. We all saw that. This is all available. This is the first
It's
time
just a
that
great
they
Prime
are trying
Minister
to
who has
create.
done all of us proud, and our country has done a great job. The vaccine diplomacy has
Yes,
touched
you
millions
know
of
how
hearts
many people
across.
have died,
With the
how many people
UNGA,
have
there were
died
so many
because
countries which brought
of your not
testimony
being able
to
to provide
India's
oxygen.
generosity, India's
And
generosity of
unofficial
spirit,
estimates say
and
there have
yes,
been
and the
lakhs and
scientific
lakhs of people.
contribution
In
in the
Gujarat alone,
development of vaccines,
Shazia ji, you
which
are not
really
letting me
stood,
speak. I will not
which
let
really
you speak.
stood right on the
I will
top
not let
of
you speak, Shazia ji.
all of the gold standards.
This is what the
You know,
true
so we
face
all
of
know that, and we're
BJP
very
is.
proud of
Everybody
it.
knows
So
that.
by you
Everybody
creating
sees
some
that.
other
The
weird
first
fake narrative
regulation
will not
came
help.
for
This is a very
Congress
limited issue, or a matter concern
कि भारत जोड़ो यात्रा
congregation
में
and
डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करो, भारत जोड़ो
and
यात्रा में ये
spread
करो,
of
क्योंकि
coronavirus,
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा से डर
the new
लगता है. You're
variant that
scared.
we're talking
Well,
भारत
about.
जोड़ो
That's
यात्रा
all
whether
is
the
the issue
BJP
is.
is
You
scared
can't
of
even
Congress's
agree.
Bharat Jodo Yatra and the popularity it is gaining, or is it the Congress party that is endangering public health? Well, the debate is on and that, and it's only going to peak. But I thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast. For now, we're shifting focus to more news coming in. News coming in from Karnataka now, where even after the Union Home Minister Amit Shah asked both Maharashtra and Karnataka to show restraint to stand down, now the Karnataka Legislative Assembly has passed a resolution regarding the dispute over Belagavi and several other border villages. Remember, the state government had said that they will be passing such resolution in which they will make sure that not an inch of their state, not even a single village, will be ceded to Maharashtra. This comes even as the dispute is still in the Supreme Court and the matter is sub judice. Remember, it is in Belagavi where the winter session of the Karnataka State Assembly is currently underway, and that is where this resolution has now been passed. A few days ago, Chief Ministers of both the states, Eknath Shinde and Basavaraj Bommai, had met Union Home Minister Amit Shah, where the centre had made it clear that the matter is sub judice and both states should show restraint, and yet we've seen the kind of provocative statements, controversial statements that have come to the fore from both sides. While Maharashtra yesterday threatened to block water supply, today the Karnataka government has gone ahead and passed this resolution, going on to say that they are not going to cede even a single village or a single inch of their land to Maharashtra. Ritu, my colleague, now joins us for more on this. Ritu, what more details can you share with us about this resolution?
Well, exactly. You see, the stand of the Karnataka state government has been very clear about the Karnataka-Maharashtra ongoing border dispute, where the Maharashtra leaders, in fact, often trying to barge into the Karnataka for one or the other reasons, and not refraining from giving a provocative statement has, in fact, clearly been given out a statement now from CM Basavaraj Bommai in the Karnataka Legislative Assembly, where the Assembly passed the resolution and clearly reiterated that the Mahajan Commission report stands as a final report, and the state government is committed to protect the people, the Kannada inhabitants in the border areas as well, and will ensure that the peace remains peace remains in these border areas, and the state government is in fact all there and condemning the kind of statement that the Maharashtra leaders are in fact giving out regarding the Karnataka-Maharashtra border issue. So that is there, and again, you see on the other hand, main importantly, what CM Basavaraj Bommai in the assembly also went on to tell, wherein one of the Maharashtra leaders giving a kind of a statement about the water supply to the state. There you see a strong reaction coming from the CM Basavaraj Bommai, where he had called all the water bodies as in the national asset, and no leader has that right to give such kind of a statement. And this is what the here in the Karnataka, whether it's the opposition or the ruling party, condemns such kind of a statement that won't be entertained by the state government. So that's the clear word out that is being put out from CM Basavaraj Bommai. Just not that, but also remember Sanjay Raut has given a statement about entering Karnataka now on a China basis. So there you see there's again a strong attack from CM Basavaraj Bommai, where he had gone on to call him an China agent. He is an anti-national is what CM Basavaraj Bommai had also told. And on the other hand, you see what is important is the pace at this point in time. So that's what he has to say. But yes, now that's the clear resolution that has been passed by the state, the assembly right now.
And this is only likely to escalate the fight between the two states even further. Do keep a track of the political reactions coming to the fore from on ground there, Ritu. For the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest. Time for a quick break here on this edition, but lots lined up for you on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
You can't throw this charge willy-nilly with no authenticated source. We are currently trying to deal with Chinese aggression.
If we put India down, that means we can put Modi on the mat. Is that the right strategy, or do you disagree with that kind of an approach?
I cited you ample evidence when it comes to Tablighi Jamaat. You said that this is some kind of conspiracy.
Here is Rahul Gandhi speaking in Hindi and saying that Hindi speakers should not dream big because they'll not get a job outside. That is where the problem begins.
Like that the community does not play a role, or the state government does not know the importance of this community. And you see how the community also gave it back right then, that the later point it was the BJP government, and especially the Yediyurappa, B.S. Yediyurappa, the former chief minister, who also happens to be the tallest leader from the Panchamasali community, was being given an opportunity. And since then till date, BJP has enjoyed this vote share, votes of the Panchamasali, because this plays a major role for them. And in fact, Yediyurappa also constituting almost 10% of the vote shares majorly comes from the Lingayat community itself. So that's how you see things have panned out earlier as well. Now this becomes the right time for the community as well to put out their word to the government, saying that either do it, because this is the last and a final call that they are giving it to the state government. If not now, then the repercussion is going to be there in the upcoming 2023 assembly election. So that's the kind of an ultimatum that the community is also giving it to the CM Basuraj Bommai. But meanwhile, you see what the community themselves also have to say is that there's a lot of politics that is also being played here, because you see Jayamrutyunjaya Swami, who is leading this whole protest, he on himself went on to say that there are few ministers, cabinet ministers, in fact, who are stopping it and ensuring that there's only it is getting delayed and the community is not getting a justice because of those few ministers. So there's a lot of politics that is happening. And also meanwhile, the Congress leaders who come from this community are also openly coming and backing and being part of the Padayatra. A few of them, like the Basangoda Yatnal from BJP and Lakshmi Hebbalkar, you see DK Shivkumar as well, or most other leaders as well are in fact supporting openly this whole protest, because you see in the elections coming in now up in the Karnataka, this will really play a major role, because this might change a game for any
and you know what one must ask is how this will play a major role, and is bound to play a major role, because of course the BJP cannot embark on such a mission, even if it were to give that hike in reservation, without having to alter the so-called existing political equations. Because let's not forget that under category 2A, in which this subsect of the Lingayat community is seeking reservation, is already got 102 castes existing there under category 2A. That means that those castes will also rise up in arms against the Panchamasali Lingayats if they were to be granted a further hike in reservation. Having said that, even the Veerashaiva Lingayats can stand up and say that why are we being given 5% reservation?
Very interesting. You see, there's other lot of things as well to be discussed here, is that as you mentioned out about the Veerashaiva Lingayat community, in fact as well, there's always been some sort of a fight between both the subsects as well. We have got to see that as well, because they're demanding for a complete different tag, and then they're coming over to say that all of us should be included as in one under Lingayat itself, to give that a kind of a strong message to the any government or the leaders to better be scared of them whenever their demands are not being met. But again, on the other hand, as you pointed out, there are already 102 castes which comes under this 2A reservation category. In fact, so now the whole issue or a whole challenge for the CM Basuraj Bommai is that where exactly can he do a plus or a minus, and again 50% reservation cap.
Alright, with that, let's quickly cut across to the state of Karnataka. The Karnataka cabinet is likely to take a decision on a quota for Panchamasali Lingayats. The move is significant
just ahead of the 2023 assembly polls. Now, the Panchamasali Lingayats, who are a traditional vote bank for the Bharatiya Janata Party, have been demanding a hike in their reservation to nearly 15% from the current 5% quota. They are also planning to protest in front of the Karnataka Assembly in Belgavi today in a show of strength. It is important to note that the BJP is dependent on this community, or rather the subsect of the Lingayat community, for its electoral prospects, especially in central and northern Karnataka constituencies. Those are the visuals we are bringing to you from Belgavi. Remember, this is the point of friction. It has been the point of much friction and violence between the two states of Karnataka and Maharashtra. But today, it will become a focal point as far as a show of strength of the Panchamasali Lingayat community is concerned, that only goes on to symbolically indicate the kind of double pressure that the Bharatiya Janata Party is going to be facing, not just because of the violence that Belgaum has been witnessing, but also now with this subsect of the Lingayat community demanding a further hike in reservation. For more details, let's quickly go across to our reporter. Ritu is joining us live. Ritu, take us through the security situation right now. What is happening over there? We can see there seems to be a sort of rally that's being taken out over there in Belgavi. Walk us through this rally.
Well, exactly. You see the Padayatra that has been led by Jayam Mrutyunjaya Swami, Panchamasali Pita Swamiji, main head, in fact, the seer, has started the whole rally. And there you see it's actually is going on right now in the visual that you can see there all of the Panchamasali Lingayat, the community members walking along the Jayam Mrutyunjaya Swami, demanding for a 2A reservation from the government. But meanwhile, while talking about the security arrangements, here you can see there is a heavy police deployment, in fact, to ensure that no untoward incident takes place. Now, remember what ADGP Alok Kumar yesterday also stated, that all the elaborate arrangements are all in place to ensure that no untoward incidents will take place, and the whole National Highway 4 of Pune, in fact, where this Padayatra is going on, will be blocked. Now, that's the whole reason, again, why we're getting to see a heavy traffic congestion also over here. There you can see a traffic snarl where, because the community...
Welcome back. News coming in now from Jammu and Kashmir, where terror groups from across the border continue to threaten Indian citizens, Kashmiri citizens. Now, TRF, the terror group which had put out a hit list of government employees and Kashmiri Pandits of Jammu and Kashmir, has put out yet another threat letter. This time, it is a list of newly elected BJP leaders. We're given to understand that now they're threatening of terror attacks on BJP leaders in the Kashmir Valley. Tejinder, my colleague, now joins us for more on this. Tejinder, do share details of this latest threat that has come to the fore.
Yes, Poonam, the terror group TRF, the Resistance Front, which is a frontal of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Toiba terror outfit, has now issued a list of BJP leaders. There are around 18 leaders, BJP leaders, whose names have been put out by the terror group, and the terror group says that these leaders are on their hit list, they are on their radar. This is, if you remember earlier, the terror group had first posted the list of the journalists who were working in Kashmir. After that, they issued a hit list of Kashmiri Pandit migrant employees who are working in Kashmir, and then the reserve category employees. And now today, the Resistance Front, the terror outfit, through its blog post, that is KashmirFights.com, has put out the list of BJP leaders in Kashmir Valley, and the terror group says that they are keeping an eye on the activity of these BJP leaders, and they are on their hit list. So clearly, security agencies are taking these threats very seriously. If you remember, just the other day, the Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police had said that these lists are being issued so as to threaten the people, spread panic among the residents in Kashmir Valley. That is why these lists are being being put out by the terror outfit, but the security agencies are taking these lists very seriously, and investigations have already been started. Yes.
Right. Do stay on with me. BJP's Kavinder Gupta now joins us on the phone line. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. Sir, बार-बार लगातार ये threats आ रहे हैं. इस बार जो TRF का threat आया हुआ है, ये बीजेपी के लीडर्स के खिलाफ है.
देखिए, जो भी नेशनलिस्ट लोग हैं या जो वहां पर डट कर काम करते हैं, टीआरएफ जैसे संगठन नाम बदल करके इस प्रकार की कोशिशें जारी रहेगी. ये जो ऑलरेडी मिलिटेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इनके जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर्स, अंडरग्राउंड वर्कर्स 70 साल से चली आ रही मिलिटेंसी आज भी कहीं ना कहीं करते हैं और वहां का माहौल खराब करना चाहते हैं. लेकिन किसी को इजाजत नहीं दी जाएगी कि वहां पर इस प्रकार का माहौल बनाया जाए. भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लीडरों की शहादत तो पहले भी हुई है और इस प्रकार के संगठन उसमें रहे, लेकिन प्रशासन को भी अलर्ट किया गया है कि इनकी तरफ ध्यान दिया जाए. जो बार बार कभी कश्मीरी पंडित को लेकर के, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं को लेकर के इस प्रकार की थ्रेटनिंग कर रहे हैं और इस थ्रेटनिंग से कोई डरने वाला नहीं है. जल्द ही मुझे लगता है कि पहले भी इन लोगों को काफी को मार गिराया गया है, अभी भी इन लोगों का संज्ञान लिया जा रहा है.
कविंदर जी, क्या आपको लगता है जैसे बयान आते हैं महबूबा मुफ्ती से या नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के लीडर्स से, जहां वो कहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान के साथ बातचीत करनी चाहिए तब ये सब रुक जाएगा, क्या आपको लगता है कि ऐसे सारे जो बयान आते हैं वहां के लीडर्स से, वो भी एम्बोल्डन करते हैं टीआरएफ जैसे ग्रुप्स को?
ठीक बात आपने कही कि ये जो बार बार कभी पाकिस्तान की बात करते हैं, पाकिस्तान हिंदुस्तान में तबाही का मंजर लाना चाहता है और जिसको कभी हमारे सुरक्षा बलों ने उसको नाकाम किया है. तो ये जो इनकी स्टेटमेंट्स आती हैं वो कभी कोई शहादत होती है उस पर नहीं आती हैं, ये उन पर होती हैं जो मिलिटेंट्स मरता है तो उसके बारे में ये बात करते हैं. तो इन लोगों को भी कहीं ना कहीं रोक लगाने की जरूरत है कि जो बार बार इनको प्रवोक करते हैं. उसी कारण से हालांकि रेडिकलाइजेशन में बहुत सी कमी आई है, लेकिन अभी भी ये चाहते हैं कि कश्मीर का माहौल जैसे पहले था उसी प्रकार का बनाया जाए.
जी, कविंदर गुप्ता जी, धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए. हियर ऑन CNN News 18, BJP there heating out at its political rivals, the National Conference and the PDP, for the kind of comments that come to the fore from them, going on to say that they only embolden terror groups and proxies of Pakistan from across the border. And Tejinder, my colleague, continues to be with us. Tejinder, just in the recent past as well, we had both the PDP and the NC come out and say that the only way forward with Pakistan is dialogue. But how can we have dialogue with a country whose proxies continue to target and threaten our leaders and citizens here?
See, every single day, Pakistan continues to push in narcotics, arms and ammunition into the Indian side through either through Jammu and Kashmir or through Punjab. In the last 24 hours, the BSF has shot down 2 drones which were carrying a large quantity of narcotics. And if you remember, Pakistan, we have been told by the intelligence agencies that all the terror training camps, they are still active on the other side of the line of control. The launch pads are still active, and large number of terrorists, they are waiting for an opportunity to sneak in into the Indian side. But because of the robust anti-infiltration grid by the security forces, their nefarious designs are time and again being foiled. The government of India has time and again made it clear that until and unless Pakistan does not stop cross-border terrorism, there would be no dialogue that could be held with Pakistan.
Right.
But the Kashmir-based political parties, be it PDP or the National Conference, every time they speak, they come out with that India should hold dialogue with Pakistan. If you remember, a couple of days ago, these political parties, they blamed the government of India for stalling the dialogue process. But it is Pakistan which has not abided by the international norms. Pakistan continues with its policy to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. But in such a situation, when Pakistan is sponsoring, aiding and abetting cross-border terrorism into India, how come it is the government of India can hold dialogue with Pakistan? But these Kashmir-based political parties, they know that by making such a statement, they can appease their Kashmir-based vote bank, and that is why they are making such statements. Yes, Poonam.
And is that what is putting national security in danger? That is something that the BJP is also asking. Stay on with me. Kashmiri activist Javed Beg also with us on this broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. How do you respond to these kind of threats that are coming to the fore? They've become pretty commonplace.
Thank you so much. See, these threats have been coming. They've been issuing threat letters in the past as well. It's not new. They use these tactics in late 90s and got people killed. Then when the new surge of terrorism erupted in Kashmir Valley after 2016, they started issuing these threats in the name of TRF, which is an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba. They have just changed the name after FATF put our neighboring country on grey list to avoid being asked for all the terror activities they've been doing across our country. They changed this name into TRF, the Resistance Front, so-called. So what they do is, their modus operandi is, they identify somebody who is not in line with what they are doing or saying. Any activist, any journalist, any politician, any social activist, or any an artist from Kashmir Valley who does not believe in their way of what they have created in last 30 years, they issue a threat list to socially, actually, they make them socially vulnerable, and later on, they eliminate them in a very dramatic manner.
Sure.
The way they issued threat list against Shujat Bukhari, and later on they killed him. Similarly, they issued threat letters against Babar Qadri, and later on they killed him. But the time after a threat list is issued is very difficult, is very depressing for the people. And very recently they have issued a threat list against Kashmiri Pandits, and they are under immense depression. And now against BJP political activists, they are also against, again in depression. So what we can do, I want to give a suggestion to our government. They need to understand the modus operandi of these people. And there are people in our country also, they are somehow in connection with the enemy countries' agents. We need to identify them.
Yes.
Because how come this enemy countries coming to know about the Kashmiri Pandit employees working in Kashmir? So this
Absolutely.
Is
so all of those gaps need to be plugged, and I'm sure the central government via the Allleges office and our security apparatus is doing that on ground. For the moment, Javed Beg, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Moving on now to more news coming in. The Enforcement Directorate has attached Benami properties of former Union Minister and DMK leader A. Raja. 45 acres of land in Coimbatore held in the name of a Benami company of A. Raja has now been attached. Now, during the course of a money laundering case, the Enforcement Directorate found that A. Raja, during his tenure as the Minister of Environment and Forest, which is from 2004 to 2007, had granted environmental clearances to a real estate company based out of Gurugram during his tenure. The ED has found that the real estate company had given kickbacks to A. Raja for quid pro quo, and in that particular case, now this Benami property in Coimbatore has now been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. Ashish Mershi, my colleague, now joins us for more on this. Yes, Ashish.
So, when he was occupying a senior position as the Minister of Environment and Forest, usually if a big project needs to be cleared, especially the real estate companies, those projects need to be given environment clearances as well. So here what the ED press release speaks about is that for that environment clearance, 45 acres of land in Coimbatore was given as quid pro quo, which is basically bribe. And during the investigation, they found that a company was made, which was basically a vehicle only for getting land into that company, which basically the company basically was owned by family members and close relatives, as well as some family friends of A. Raja. And finally, the land was transferred to this company. So during investigation, they found that this company was basically nothing else but opened during the period 2007 only for this period. For this purpose. And finally, during investigation, it was found that this was nothing else but quid pro quo in lieu of an environment clearance. And as of now, the value of this company is more than 50 crore rupees. In fact, to be precise, 55 crore rupees, and the land size is around 45 acres in Coimbatore. So this land stands attached under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act.
Right, big setback there coming to the fore for the DMK leader and a former union minister. For the moment, Ashish, thank you so much. Time for a quick break on this edition. Back in just a few minutes. Do stay tuned.
has tried to reach out to the Lingayat community?
Well, this is an interesting question as well, but yes, of course, the Lingayat community plays a very important role because that's the dominant community here. Almost 16 to 17% of the population in the Karnataka is in fact of Lingayat community, and Panchamasali happens to be the one of the subsect of the Lingayat community who's been demanding this reservation to the government. But yes, to talk about it more politically as well, we have seen how this community plays a major role for any party who want to come into the power. This community backing any leader, in fact, changes the fortune of the leader or the government, that we can clearly say as well. Because you see, in 1990, when Rajiv Gandhi had come down to Bangalore for a meet, in fact, here, so that's when he at the airport itself for the continuous riots that were taking place in the Karnataka, and the government was in fact been at a bad side for that reason, and that's when Rajiv Gandhi in fact declared openly, without taking any leaders into the confidence, that Virendra Patil, who was the a chief minister then and a Congress leader, was been made to step down from his post without giving a proper clarity. So that really upset the Lingayat community, because it was because of the Lingayat community that Virendra Patil had come to the power, and that somewhere upset this community, seeming like that the community does not play a role, or the state government does not know the importance of this community. And you see how the community also gave it back right then, that the later point it was the BJP government, and especially the Yadurappa, B.S. Yadurappa, the former chief minister, who also happens to be the tallest leader from the Panchamasali community, was being given an opportunity. And since then till date, BJP has enjoyed this vote share, votes of the Panchamasali, because this plays a major role for them. And in fact, Yadurappa also considering almost 10% of the vote shares majorly comes from the Lingayat community itself. So that's how you see things have panned out earlier as well. Now this becomes the right time for the community as well to put out their word to the government, saying that either do it, because this is the last and a final call that they are giving it to the state government. If not now, then the repercussion is going to be there in the upcoming 2023 assembly election. So that's the kind of an ultimatum that the community is also giving it to the CM Basuraj Bommai. But meanwhile, you see what the community themselves also have to say is that there's a lot of politics that is also being played here, because you see Jayamrutyunjaya Swami, who is leading this whole protest, he on himself went on to say that there are few ministers, cabinet ministers, in fact, who are stopping it and ensuring that there's only it is getting delayed, and the community is not getting a justice because of those few ministers. So there's a lot of politics that is happening, and also meanwhile the Congress leaders who come from this community are also openly coming and backing and being part of the Padayatra. A few of them, like the Basangoda Yatnal from BJP and Lakshmi Hebbalkar, you see DK Shivkumar as well, or most other leaders as well, are in fact supporting openly this whole protest, because you see in the elections coming in now up in the Karnataka, this will really play a major role, because this might change a game for any
and you know what one must ask is how this will play a major role, and is bound to play a major role, because of course the BJP cannot embark on such a mission, even if it were to give that hike in reservation, without having to alter the so-called existing political equations. Because let's not forget that under category 2A, in which this subsect of the Lingayat community seeking reservation is already got 102 castes existing there under category 2A. That means that those castes will also rise up in arms against the Panchamasali Lingayats if they were to be granted a further hike in reservation. Having said that, even the Veerashaiva Lingayats can stand up and say that why are we being given 5% reservation?
Very interesting. You see, there's other lot of things as well to be discussed here, is that as you mentioned out about the Veerashaiva Lingayat community, in fact as well, there's always been some sort of a fight between both the subsects as well. We have got to see that as well, because they're demanding for a complete different tag, and then they're coming over to say that all of us should be included as in one under Lingayat itself, to give that a kind of a strong message to the any government or the leaders to better be scared of them whenever their demands are not being met. But again, on the other hand, as you pointed out, there are already 102 castes which comes under this 2A reservation category. In fact, so now the whole issue or a whole challenge for the CM Basuraj Bommai is that where exactly can he do a plus or a minus, and again 50% reservation cap.
All right. right, with that, let's quickly cut across to the state of Karnataka. The Karnataka cabinet is likely to take a decision on a quota for Panchamasali Lingayats. The move is significant, just ahead of the 2023 assembly polls. Now, the Panchamasali Lingayats, who are a traditional vote bank for the Bharatiya Janata Party, have been demanding a hike in their reservation to nearly 15% from the current 5% quota. They are also planning to protest in front of the Karnataka Assembly in Belgavi today in a show of strength. It is important to note that the BJP is dependent on this community, or rather the subsect of the Lingayat community, for its electoral prospects, especially in central and northern Karnataka constituencies. Those are the visuals we are bringing to you from Belgavi. Remember, this is the point of friction. It has been the point of much.
Welcome back. Getting you some CNN News 18 exclusive super scoop, and this is from Afghanistan. Remember, yesterday the Taliban decided to ban women from studying in universities. Now we're given to understand that there is a rift within the Taliban there. Sources are now telling your channel that there is serious tension between two different wings of the Taliban. The Kandahari group and other leaders of the Taliban differ on the ban on women from university education. A new breed of ministers, as they are being claimed, they are not convinced with the idea of keeping women out of university education. The Kandahari group is talking only about religion and teachings, while the ministerial group says it is difficult now to handle international pressure because globally the world is reacting to the subjugation of women under the Taliban. Abhishek, my colleague, now joins us for more on this. Abhishek, when the Taliban came to power, so to say, in Afghanistan, they painted a picture of how they are a new and improved Taliban. That clearly wasn't the case after they banned women from university education yesterday, but it looks like there is still some grouping that seems to not be completely on board.
Of course, and we have seen not only on this issue, the latest issue of women education, but in the past also on the issue of governance, on the issue of law and order, how to make an international stature. There has always been differences between various factions of Taliban government. The latest being very challenging because now it looks like there is a mass outrage against Taliban's latest dictate, where even boys have also started boycotting the class. So that makes sense that the decision of Taliban is not being accepted by the society at large. Or in that sense, Taliban can lose its authority over the society on which it wants to rule. It has already not got enough of support or attention at the international stature, where world has asked Taliban to maintain a non-discriminatory, social, an inclusive government. And with this, the latest decision that the government has come, the world has acknowledged the fact that as long as there will be discrimination, as long as women will not be allowed to take part in all sphere of society, including education, of having an international recognition for Taliban government will always remain distant. And for that, Taliban needs to reconcile and its theory and whatever ideology it is based upon. But it has to give girls and women, the 50% population, due right and due space in its social sphere.
Now, this is something that the conventional grouping of the Taliban is going to oppose, but we're given to understand that the fear is also that perhaps an Iran-like movement or a revolution could be witnessed, and that is something the Taliban cannot risk.
Of course, and the most strong support for women education and opposition of Taliban's latest dictator is coming from Kazi, who is expected to have an international stature, who is actually negotiating with a lot of international agencies, governments, because he is at the helm of foreign affairs in Taliban government. So clearly for him, it becomes really awkward moment when he seeks recognition, when he seeks aid and assistance from international government and agencies, but at the same time, he is not finding himself able enough to convince his own government to maintain the past promises that Taliban has made. That Taliban has said that it will make an inclusive government, it will make a society where everybody will have equal rights. It will come as a new and moderate and little liberal Taliban. It will not be the same Taliban that we had witnessed in 90s. But all that claim, all that promises of Taliban 2.0 seems to have shattered with the latest dictate. We have also seen public executions started taking place in Afghanistan. That also raises question on law and order situation and the kind of law Taliban wants to implement. Those kangaroo courts have started functioning very well in the heart of country. So with all that keeping in together, it is difficult for Taliban's foreign affairs minister to make a point at international forum that Taliban has changed and it wants to have a space with other countries at international forum.
Absolutely. Staring at isolation is why we're seeing these revolt within the ranks of the Taliban, perhaps. For the moment, Abhishek, thank you so much for getting us the latest. With that, it's a wrap from me on this edition of Nation at 5. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Good evening, you're watching Viewpoint with me, Anusha Soni. The alarming situation, the COVID situation being reported from China, has put India and the world on a high alert. The Union Health Minister, Mansukh Mandaviya, has sounded an alert. He also made a statement on the floor of the House in Parliament and held a crucial meeting earlier. Today is an important day because a meeting is being chaired by none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review the COVID preparedness across the country. Not just here in India, but countries like United States of America is also very worried. It has also raised an alarm over the possibility of new mutations. Now, with the reports of hospitals being overwhelmed and crematoriums unfortunately being burdened, all of those are coming to light from China. The authorities are following here in India a proactive strategy. Various other state governments have also conducted meetings to ensure that the medical infrastructure is ready to handle any kind of situation that may emerge. We keep an eye on that crucial meeting being chaired by the Prime Minister. But the lessons learned from the pandemic in the more than last 2 years, how can we be better prepared and what is the way forward? Our top focus this hour.
राज्यों को जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग बढ़ाकर सभी पॉजिटिव केसों का जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग करने की सलाह दी गई है।
नॉर्मल लाइफ लीड करिए, कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर रखिए, सिम्टम आते हैं टेस्टिंग कराइए और प्रिकॉशन डोज लगाइए।
Well, here is a shout out to all our viewers. If you have concerns around COVID-19, if you have questions, if there is an apprehension in your mind, call us live 0120-434-1895. Are we immune from yet another wave? Are we better prepared? Do Indians have better shared hybrid immunity? Is that something that we can bank upon? And what is the method, what is the way that we should follow when it comes to the COVID protocols or the kind of precautions that the various state governments should take? Now, opening that question to our guests as well, who are joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta is joining us on the broadcast, who's a member of the National COVID Task Force. We also have Dr. Venkat D. Nagarajan, who's a cardiologist at the Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. We also have Dr. Amit Gupta. He'll join us in just a bit, who's a consultant from Oxford, England. And Dr. Ankita Bedya, who's an infectious disease specialist from Manipal Hospital. She's also joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Rajiv Gupta, Dr. Dasgupta, I'm coming to you. How prepared are we? It is wonderful that the government is taking proactive measures like any other responsible government should. Earlier, we have seen what happened in the second wave and the so-called third wave during Omicron. The cases were much milder. When it comes to the Disaster Management Act, when it comes to the preparedness at the state level, what are the plausible steps that can be taken at this point in time? Keeping in mind that our positivity rate is very, very low. So it's not an alarming situation, but a situation to be proactive. Dr. Dasgupta.
Thank you. First, world over, testing numbers have fallen, and therefore the current numbers that we see from any country, or from most countries at least, are to be understood with that caveat, and not too much comfort should be read into these numbers. Having said that, India, immunologically speaking, as far as the population level goes, is certainly a completely different entity than what China is. China is, relatively speaking, a lot more immune naive because of their zero COVID policy, followed later by the modified zero COVID policy, and then finally the December 7th withdrawal of the zero COVID regime. So that's what China has gone through. Exposure to natural infection, which produces extremely robust immunity, has been relatively less in China, and that's part of the challenge that they are battling with.
So, moving forward, when it comes to the vaccination coverage in this country, compared, to many other nations, we have done far better. But in terms of the second dose coverage and the need to take a booster dose or the third shot, is that more than ever right now? Dr. Dasgupta.
No, booster dose is something where India has been able to cover roughly a third of the eligible population. Of course, following the
All right.
the
Sir,
reduction
I'm very sorry. I apologize. I'm interrupting you. We have the Delhi Chief Minister who's speaking on the COVID situation. Let's cut across.
टेस्टिंग में मिला है, टेस्टिंग तो हम कर ही रहे हैं. जो भी कोरोना के केसेस आ रहे हैं उनकी जीनोम टेस्टिंग हो रही है. ना केवल टेस्टिंग में बल्कि हम कई जगह से, स्पेसिफिकली दिल्ली के 7 अलग अलग जगह से सीवेज उठाते हैं. सीवेज से एडवांस में पता चल जाता है कि आने वाले समय कि शहर में ये वाला वायरस है कि नहीं है. तो 7 अलग अलग जगह से डेली सीवेज उठा के और उसको टेस्ट किया जाता है. उसमें भी BF.7 अभी तक नहीं मिला है. दिल्ली में अभी जो भी थोड़े बहुत केसेस आ रहे हैं वो XBB वेरिएंट के हैं. या तो XBB वेरिएंट है या उसके सब लीनिएज है. XBB ये 92% केसेस जो दिल्ली में मिल रहे हैं वो XBB वेरिएंट के हैं. सो अभी तक फ़िलहाल कोई भी घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. दिल्ली के लोगों को मैं आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं कि फ़िलहाल कोई भी घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. और बाई चांस, भगवान ना करे कि दोबारा कोरोना फैले, लेकिन बाई चांस अगर फैलता है तो हम अपनी तरफ से पूरी तैयारी के साथ हैं. आपकी सरकार पूरी तैयारी किए हुए है. एक तो जितने केसेस आ रहे हैं भारत सरकार की डायरेक्शन के मुताबिक हम सारे केसेस की, जितने पॉजिटिव केस आते हैं सबकी जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग कराते हैं कि वो उसमें कौन सा वेरिएंट है. दूसरा, हमारी आज दिल्ली में लगभग 2500 केसेस की टोटल टेस्टिंग होती है डेली. हमारी कैपेसिटी 1 लाख तक पहुंच गई है. अगर ज़रूरत पड़ेगी तो हम 1 लाख टेस्ट्स डेली भी कर सकते हैं. आज
Well, that was Delhi Chief Minister. He said that the variant so far has not been found in Delhi and they are following the protocol of making sure that testing is done, genome sequencing is done. Clearly, the Delhi government on a high alert, which they should be. I want to cut across to Dr. Venkat D. Nagarajan as well, who's with us on the broadcast. Dr. Nagarajan, moving forward, how crucial and critical is it? And I want to reiterate that for our viewers as well, of following the basics of masking up, of hand hygiene, sanitization. Do you think it is time that the mandatory mask mandate, that should come back? Those, guidelines have been done away with because the cases had come down. Dr. Nagarajan.
Yes, absolutely. I think you raised a very good point. I think we can't wait for the pandemic to come to India and hit us hard and then realize we have to wear the mask. So what COVID has taught us, the first wave and second wave has taught us, is that we are not independent from the world. What can happen in China can very soon happen in India. So especially with our experience, bad experience from the second wave, and especially with all the efforts that are being put by the central and state governments, the people have to do their bit. I think people also have to understand it's not at all cool not to follow the guidelines. So I think Indian Medical Association has strongly reiterated today that people have to go back to the basics. Simple basics can prevent a lot of problems for us. So we should go back, and I think it's high time that they should make the mask mandatory again. People should take care to follow the social distancing, cleaning of hands, and as far as possible at this time, avoid parties. If it's possible, try and avoid international travel as well. And what is most important is that if you are symptomatic, if you got fever, cough, you don't feel well, you are short of breath, you should just hold on, think for a second and contact your doctor rather than ignore this.
Dr. Nagarajan, I know a lot of people, and I'm sure you do, everybody on the panel knows that all of us have made New Year plans, Christmas plans. This is the festive season which is coming in. This is the season of crowding and the kind of fares, and people are traveling here and there. We are seeing peak air traffic and rail traffic right now. So clearly not the best of the time when it comes to COVID-19 situation. We have our first caller. Guru Raj from Bengaluru is calling us. Guru Raj ji, tell us what you think, what your thoughts are. Guru Raj, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question, madam, to the experts is that, as the Chief Minister of Delhi said just now, that the major variant is XBB. And in addition, we also seem to have found BF.7 variant. My question to the experts is, are the vaccines, Covaxin and Covishield, that we have taken guard us against these two variants?
Are the vaccines working against these variants? I'll take that question. Shabnam from New Delhi is also with us on the broadcast. Shabnam, tell us what you think.
Good evening.
Good evening. Shabnam, I'm afraid there's a problem with your line. Now, you can try us calling again, but we'll have to hang up this call. Dr. Amit Gupta, why don't you come in and tell us more about this? The two variants, XBB and BF.7, the two variants which are primarily being found and are of concern right now, to what extent vaccines work against them?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir.
Am I audible?
You're audible. You're audible. I hope I'm audible to you.
Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, I am. Yes, thank you very much for having me on the program. I think you're absolutely right. There is some concern about the vaccine escape. But the situation around Europe and the US is a bit unclear at the moment. Although the same variant was detected in Europe a couple of months ago, the spread has not been as rapid as we've seen in China. So there is caution, but there is no sense of urgency or panic that we see in the UK. And I think that's the message that I would also like to relay to my Indian colleagues and my friends in India is, yes, we've got to be cautious because we've had a very bad experience in the past. But the situation in China and India are very different in the sense that although there is a little bit of escape from vaccine neutrality, it's not complete. And of course, there is some protection afforded. The other thing is the vaccination rates in India are very different from China. There is probably a larger vaccine coverage. About 60% of the over 60s in China are suspected not to have full vaccination status. And so we are dealing with a very different situation between India and China. So although we should urge caution, I would not urge any sense of panic.
Yeah, and it's always the safest option, Dr. Gupta, is always to take your vaccine shot. I mean, that's your best bet.
That is, so there is no exit strategy from this unless you get vaccine, unless you get immunity. Immunity is best acquired through a vaccine. And that's what you should do. India is lucky that we've already got the AstraZeneca vaccine and the other ones which are available. And they've shown to have a good amount of protection.
Here's the answer from Dr. Gupta. Here's the answer from Dr. Gupta that if you haven't taken your second shot, you have to go and take your shot. There is no exit strategy when it comes to vaccines. That's your best way of defending yourself and your family. I want to bring in more callers. Shabnam from Delhi is back with us on the broadcast. Ashish from Gurugram is also calling us. Shabnam, first to you. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you that if a person has comorbidities and has taken the third booster dose